Time has come once again to speak as witches and wizards, and still spirits do. I'm Daniel Dubois,
I'm Michaela Gaffinstone.
and we're your hosts for the Think Like a Wizard podcast. Welcome to season 6, episode 8. Who knows whatever the hell we're going to talk about? So
Right.
there's the title.
This is a very sudden sort of okay, we got to do it now kind of
Mm,
episode. Neither of us know why, but we were both arriving at the same point at the same time through different channels. So here
right.
we are, and let's see what unfolds. I don't know. I was able to change
Yeah.
the dreaming pattern that I've had. I can
Oh,
talk about that for a minute.
nice.
Last time we spoke, I was in the middle of all kinds of very draining energy and lots of just the dreams were ick. I mean, listen to the last episode and you'll get the measure of them. And I was exhausted from them. So I had a conversation with someone who I respect very much, and she knows lots. And she reminded me that in my repertoire, I can also do theta healing.
Right.
And I haven't done it for a while though. And she said, you need to go back to that and close up any gaps and heal connections and sever connections and send entities that are causing problems back to creator's light, however you view creator.
Yeah.
And so I was a little concerned I might not remember to do that while I'm dreaming, but I did. I didn't need to be concerned. And I wasn't sure how well it would work, but I have to say it was remarkable. I mean, I don't even know why I was doubting it because I've done theta healing because it
Mm,
works. But at the same time, I just wasn't sure for the dreams. However, I seem to have plugged up whatever holes were happening and things coming across the veil that didn't ought to be. Um, and yeah, I've been doing a whole lot better since. That's not to say I haven't had weird dreams, they
right.
just haven't been draining.
Mm,
And that's the key. Like I'll go to the strange places with lucid dreaming, that's fine.
right.
But waking up exhausted from it, I'm not okay with. So that was the big difference. Theta healing actually made the difference there.
That's pretty interesting because my dreams last night were interesting as well. In fact, what was it? So for the last 2 days, I may have managed to cobble together 4 hours of sleep throughout the whole 24-hour period. Right?
Ugh.
An hour here, 2 hour here, half an hour here, 20 minutes there, that kind of thing. And last night, I was dreaming and I was doing stuff, and it all seemed magic related. And then it was like, okay, we're done. And then I woke up, and I had only slept for 2 hours. And I went, oh, that's weird, but I feel really good right now, you know? And then I went back to bed, and I woke up at whatever 10 o'clock this morning. And but it was like, okay, we're done with that stuff. It's over. This, being in not being able to sleep and this being uncomfortable and not being in a good place, that's done. We're moving on to new stuff. And
Mm. Another thing that dropped in for me today, and it's one of those things that, when I say it, you'll be like, well, yeah, but it dropped in on a different level.
right,
That's what I gotta say. And that is question everything. And an example would be in the mundane world. I have two companies that I work for on my day jobs right now. And one of them said, oh, you have to terminate your contract with a given insurance provider because I'm with another company. And I said, no, no, I'm not going to do that. Like,
right,
you need to send me what I need to do that. And they were like,
right,
well, no, you just do it. no, I'm not going to do it. And I kept pushing back.
Hmm.
And it turned out that what they were asking me to do was entirely inaccurate. And if I'd done it, I would have screwed myself over
Right.
with both companies and I would be out of
Mhm.
work. So
Right.
that was one of those inexplicable glitches that were just like, why did you think you needed to ask me to do that? Where did
Yeah.
that come from? And the person was just like, well, I don't know. I just got this message saying that you needed to do it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I really don't.
Mm.
But I was following my instincts and questioning very hard that this person in position of authority, like, are you sure I need to do that? No, I'm not going to do that. And
Right.
the whole process was a little bit off kilter because this was a person in authority that I'm questioning. And I just felt so strongly about it that something's off. And so I guess what I'm saying is if your instincts, if your intuition says question it, whatever it is that's going down right now, question it. Really
Right.
go there. Doesn't matter a stuff who the person is on the other end. Like it doesn't matter if it's God incarnate, question it. You need to really push back at the moment. There's stuff going on for a lot of people. I've touched base with different people who are having experiences that would be in line with what I've just described. They've
Mm.
got something that's come up that's just like, no, that doesn't seem right. That's weird. So when you're getting emails or calls or anything that's off, and you can just tell it is, even though
Right.
ordinarily you'd go with it, don't go with it, question it.
You know, just to tease you, did you not post today
Who
something about
wouldn't?
conspiracy theories?
Go on, tell me about conspiracy
No, no,
theories.
you posted something today about conspiracy theories about,
Oh, with critical thinking?
yeah,
I'm posting loads of stuff. Today was I was talking about people having critical thinking skills.
right. It just made me think because it's like that can sound very conspiratorial. But I mean, in all honest reality, right? What's a conspiracy? But it's just two or more people doing something together.
The thing with conspiracy
Yeah.
theories is they tend to follow a certain logic,
Yeah.
right? And logic is a series of steps that make sense,
Hmm.
but that's without context, right?
Right.
Critical thinking means you're looking at those steps and saying, are they in the right place? Are they made out of the right stuff? Are they even going in the right direction? That's
Right.
critical thinking. So conspiracy theories are very logical, and you can follow those straight into the swamp if you like. That's absolutely fine. Knock yourself out. But
Right.
we have so many people doing that right now that I think we need a few more on the critical thinking side.
Well, and we do, right? I'll bring it up because whatever, what the hell, right? There's no startup for this one. So, are you familiar with the current DoorDash controversy?
No, not at all. Do tell.
So, and this, I guess it's pending some kind of court thing right now, and I have no idea what all the details are. The accusation is this: a DoorDash worker went to deliver food at a DoorDash thing, and then she says she was sexually assaulted. Her because apparently the person inside was sleeping on his couch and his pants were down or something. So she recorded it and posted it on the internet. But the guy apparently was asleep or whatever. They keep saying the word unconscious keeps coming up, right? So apparently, either depending on who you believe, the door was wide open or the door was just open a little bit. But the instructions on the order was to just drop off the stuff at the door. So there's two camps and they're digging their heels in really deep. One saying, yes, the guy was at fault. Of course, he should be charged with something. And he has a history of doing things where he exposes himself to people. But then on the people who are siding with the guy, there's stuff about the woman. Well, one, the door was, even if it was even open, she still went in. She was given instructions not to go in, but she went in and recorded. And it's fairly dramatic. Her video is fairly dramatic. She got suspended from DoorDash anyways. But there's also apparently proof of her doing this kind of thing, like going into places she's not supposed to, you know, and making videos about it. So both camps are arguing over, oh, he's in the wrong. No, she's in the wrong. No, he's in the wrong. No, she's in the wrong. And I'm like, well, one, they both can be in the wrong. That's the first thing. He could be exposing himself to her, and she could be breaking into his house because she would have to break into his house to get the image she got or the video she got. But the thing is, as it goes on, the stories get worse and worse and worse and worse. I think the worst case scenario now is the guy went out and met her at the door, exposing himself. And then on the other side, the worst is she broke into the house, went up the stairs, and recorded him in his bedroom when there's no evidence for either of that. But the argument is spiraling out of control.
How interesting.
Yeah,
And the thing is, really, it's nobody's business to be concerned about who did
right,
what to whom when, other than the judicial process.
right,
Like that should go to court precisely so that they can sort out who did what to whom when and apportion blame accordingly. But
right,
the thing is, what we've done with social media is now everybody thinks that they are the judge and jury,
right.
and everybody has an opinion. And, just like assholes, some of them stink. It's, it's not something we all need to be subject to.
Well,
And
and
so, that they're making wild assumptions based on not an awful lot of information.
right. Well, and
You
that's the
could
thing, right?
argue on either side, right?
Yeah.
But why? You're leaking energy doing that.
Hmm.
That's one of those energy sucks where what else could you be doing with your brain other than trying to figure out who did
Yeah.
what to whom when with the bloody DoorDash scenario,
Yeah.
right? Like it's sure it's enticing to go in there and have an opinion, but we don't need to. There's
Yeah.
so many of those things around though.
Yeah. And and it's funny, right? Because it's like, but I've seen this throughout my life. So it's not like this is anything new to this time. It's just now people have social media to make a big deal
Right.
about it. But it's like people forget this idea that just because someone gets charged with something, it doesn't mean that they're actually guilty yet. Things still have
We
to be
are
proven.
supposed to have,
Right.
yes, we are supposed to have innocence until proven guilty, but
Yeah.
that hasn't been the case for the longest time. And it's a pity because, cancel culture,
Right.
get me going on cancel culture. I can't stand cancel culture. It's one of those things where a person makes a mistake one time, they do one thing, and a group of people decide they don't like it, and that
Right.
person, their entire career can go down the toilet, whatever it is. The latest one is Stephen King, for example. He attributed a quote to Charlie Kirk that
Right.
turns out he couldn't verify. Now, frankly, the quote that he said absolutely was on brand. It's
Hmm.
totally something Charlie Kirk could have said, and I'm sure he has at some point.
Right.
But the fact remains Stephen King said, my bad, I made a mistake. I can't verify that. I apologize.
Right.
And since then, this cancel culture thing has arrived where everybody's like, don't buy any Stephen King books, just cancel him out like he doesn't exist. Are you freaking kidding me?
Mhm.
Like or hate his books. This man has put his entire life out there and worked really hard and given things to people that they are entertained by. And he
Right.
makes one mistake that he apologizes for, and he's supposed to be cancelled. Yet you hear people in public office lying every time they move their lips,
Yeah.
and nothing happens to them,
Mhm.
right? So, where have we gone completely askew here? Cancel culture has gone insane.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling is another one that she's
Mhm.
very anti-trans. Okay, she's not at all a fan of trans women particularly. Well, she obviously has some issues she needs to work on,
Mhm.
but do you cancel her because of that, or do you simply say, okay, I don't like the way you're doing things. You are not somebody I want to give my attention to. It's different from calling everybody into a boycott, right?
Right.
Like it's overblown and it's unregulated.
Right.
People are just deciding who gets to have a career and who doesn't, who gets to be okay and who isn't. Will
Mhm.
Smith, the actor,
Mhm.
I mean, the poor guy is clearly in a hot mess of a state,
Yes.
and you can see why he's in that mess. whole
Mm-hmm.
relationship is public and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He made a very public mistake,
Mm-hmm.
but have you seen much of him since? He's been cancelled.
Yeah.
He's really been cancelled. Like he was very, very popular up to that point, and then suddenly nobody wants to talk about the guy anymore, and he doesn't have any TV roles. Johnny Depp, he was
Yeah.
accused of something and found innocent,
Mm-hmm.
and he still doesn't have the film roles that he was getting.
Right.
Cancel culture once again. So this is a thing I could go on for hours about,
Yeah.
and the whole thing comes back to people's energy being taken by social media and directed by essentially bots and people who
Well,
have an
yeah.
agenda, and you're being misused.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
worry about dark magic when you're going into this shit.
yeah.
Like if you're involved in all of that cancel culture and being directed to scream at other people that you've never met yet, you're already in something far worse than black magic's going to do to you.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because when you, as you're saying that, I kind of think I have an idea of what maybe this episode's about, but doesn't have to be about any
Good.
one specific topic. But people aren't using their energy where they need to use it. They don't feel they
Yep.
have an outlet to use their energy where they need it. They feel so powerless that they now have to take power from other people.
Yeah, I think there's also a lack of self-direction.
Yeah.
Like people have given away their purpose
Hmm.
to an external source and said, okay, show me. And these are the people who are going to go there again because it came up again. But the people who are looking for rule books for things, they're looking for external sort of input. Tell me what my purpose is. Tell me how I need to do it. Tell me where to go. And and yet the same people would say, no, I'm all about freedom. Um, okay. Freedom in your cage to walk around. Is that what it is?
And yes, but it's weird because people are holding their own keys and still locking themselves in the cage, even though they have the key to get out.
Yep.
That's the incredible part of it. Um, I don't know if this lines up perfectly with it, but so one of my favorite YouTubers that I follow because he does linguistic stuff and historical stuff, and I find it very interesting, right? His father fought, in World War One, or not his father, his grandfather. And anyway, so fascism is a thing, he's very against stuff like that. And very like very leaning on the nerdy side, but not completely. But what I've noticed lately since the Charlie Kirk thing is that what seemed like a logical, clear-headed person suddenly becomes a what do you call that? Self-righteous. His content went from being informative to self-righteous because now he's on going on an arc where anyone who like basically made fun of Charlie Kirk, he's like making videos against them. But not just that, like that whole idea, like he basically dropped his whole scholarly thing and is now doing the I will right the rights, the wrongs kind of an idea.
Ah, so the facade broke, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the direction of people's energy is definitely an important subject right now. And really questioning, not only questioning when you're told to do something that doesn't seem right, or you're pushed in a direction and it doesn't seem right, but also question why you want to go there.
Right.
And how can you get more clarity on what you really want to do, what you're really here for? And I think a magical practice can certainly help with that.
Mhm.
You need clarity. It's one of those things like there's a loop, right? You need clarity to be able to do the things you want to achieve. But at the same time, you need to do a little magic to get your clarity first. That could
Right.
be visualization, that can
Mhm.
be breath work, that can be meditation if that works for you. It can be practice, like it's anything that gets you into a zone out of your conscious thinking and funnily enough into the theta brainwave, which is, you're just, it's kind of around the sleep.
Hmm.
pathway, but you're still conscious, you're still awake, kind of thing. Um, but you're out of your conscious and into your subconscious,
Right.
and that is where your clarity comes in. Because if your brain had it, if your consciousness had it, you'd already know it. You don't,
Yeah.
so it's not there, right? And the problem with things in the brain is it's all externally sourced anyway. Your information is coming from somewhere else. And, I am not pro anybody being shot,
Right.
but you got to look at with the Charlie Kirk situation, like, how has it gone? How has the aftermath gone in the directions it's gone in?
Yeah.
He was shot by somebody who was in his own camp, if you will,
Mm.
also extremely right wing. So you don't hear about that because that person was extremely right wing, right? But he said a lot of things that hurt a lot of people and destroyed a lot of lives. And
Yeah.
he
There's a name for
stoked.
that now. It's shit. It's a form of terrorism, but it's a terrorism where you don't, the kind basically when you incite people to action with your words
Mhm.
rather than it's not completely incite to what's that law where you tell
You
people
could
to go and
certainly
do
call it
stuff.
hate speech.
Right.
You could call
See?
it hate speech.
Yeah.
And to say otherwise is to willfully ignore everything he said. And given
Yeah.
that that was what he was saying, I think he'd rather you were paying attention to what he said.
Right. Well,
So,
I was going to say something
oh,
interesting here on him. From what I'm getting, all the aftermath stuff, even though I'm trying to avoid any of the stuff, it sounds
we're
like he
all
was
trying to
groomed.
avoid it, I think.
Yeah. It
Uh-huh.
sounds like he was groomed.
Mm. He does sound like that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And that could be the case too. And there's a lot of I've seen a lot of comparisons
Mhm.
drawn to that would suggest he was set up for
Yeah.
the Jesus-like role. Yes,
Yeah.
he's teaching a
Well, he is
certain
now. Holy
thing.
crap.
He is now, yeah.
Yeah.
He was, and the tale is that he was set up that way.
Mm.
Maybe so. Does it mean you have to go with it? Does it mean you have to be sucked in? I think not. But people's energy are getting poured into that. Now, where's it going to go? All right. Given what the speech was all about,
Mhm.
and it was hate speech, given the racism and the misogyny and what have you that that was about, what what then are the people who are all about it and
Right.
are giving him his own pedestal, etc.? Where's that taking you? What are you doing with it? I mean, the fact remains there have been many, 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 many murders done by Americans to
Mm.
Americans and by sundry other people in boats and
Right.
goodness knows what lately, and none of that is okay.
Right.
Why pick on one person who frankly espoused a pretty awful agenda? I don't understand that. But it's a direction of people's energies
Right.
away from anything productive and helpful and towards something that's spiraling down. There's no good way to go from there. There's no
Right.
positive, helpful way to go from there
But it's another one,
unless you
right?
turn around and go
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Stepping out and back away from it is the best thing for any of this stuff right now going on online is step
Yeah.
back from it for a minute. Because, like, it's another good example of people forget innocent until proven guilty, right? Like, the current person they're accusing of it, like, they don't have any solid proof it's him. They have some
None.
weird text messages that don't seem to be written by someone, that sounds more like something you'd write if you're writing a story rather than two people
They
actually.
they don't have they don't have evidence right now that points to this person.
Right,
So and you hear nothing about the person in the news. So there's
right,
something definitely off, and you need to question it, which is what I started the podcast with.
yeah,
When something's off, you need to question it.
right,
And it might be more convenient to say, well, I'm going to go with that story because it works for me. But frankly, that's a bloody lazy thing to do. And I don't use the word lazy very often, but that one absolutely is because you're abdicating your responsibility to actually choose a path, like choose something that you wish to create, that you're here for,
right,
that you stand for. And I think it's important right now for people to figure out, what do you stand for and what do you stand against? Because
right,
those will define your character. to a large extent. And if
Yeah.
you're just going to go with the loudest voices, then frankly, you're underdeveloped and you've got some work to do.
Well, there's kind of two things that are coming to mind, and actually came to mind when we were talking, is we're starting to see, remember when we had said your choices? I think Persephone said
Uh-huh.
it. Your choices are going to
Yes.
close doors. I
Yes.
think a lot of people are closing doors right now. And I think for some people, I don't know if it's because they're trying to just jump on the bandwagon or if it's bigger than them and their real feelings are coming out. Like, I'm going to say this is going to be controversial, okay? But I
Oh,
want
we haven't
people,
said anything controversial
yeah,
yet today.
but I really
No.
want people to really consider this when I say this. A lot of the sympathy directed towards Charlie Kirk and his family are very much an example of in grouping. Charlie Kirk is a Christian American white man with the blonde wife and the kids, and so his death is suddenly a big tragedy, and he's being deified. There were kids killed that day; they're not being
Mhm.
deified. There were people who were like, I can't think of his name now. Think about anyone right now being deported who are actually American citizens. They're not getting this deification. They're not getting these memorials. They're not getting all these things. Like,
Mhm.
but people are in grouping, and I'm not saying that you're wrong to have an in group because you do. Like that's just how you go through life, but you can't limit yourself. If you need to move, you need to move, and if you need to find a new in group, you need to find a new in group. All the lessons you still have to do them. But the big output of sympathy came because people in grouped more with Charlie Kirk than they did right now with the people being oppressed. For
Boy, is that a problem,
Yeah,
right? Like you can see what's wrong with that right away. So I guess, yeah, the clarity that we've been talking about kind of is coming up. It's just not the one we hoped for. Right?
yeah,
Like it's not the let's make something good out of this that I certainly have been looking for. It's more, okay, we've got a downward spiral. Let's jump. Let's go in there and go down with it. And
well, yeah,
there is a choice to be
mm-hmm.
made on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you really, is that what you came for? That's a
Yeah,
question to ask yourself. Is that what you went to all the trouble of coming to this planet for, is to do that? Really? That's the best you got? That's your shot?
right.
Okay. It's a
And
choice.
yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people who I'm finding who are doing the self-righteousness on the side of he was a father and he was a. Those people right now are showing colors that they don't realize they're showing.
Mm. Yes.
Because you didn't say the same outrage, and I'm not seeing the same outrage out of you for other people being killed. You know?
Right. There were, right around that time, there was the
Yeah.
school shooting in Colorado. There were two
Yeah.
black men lynched
Yes.
in Mississippi.
Hmm.
There's, atrocities happening all around the world. Nobody talks about what's happening to the Druze in Syria, for example.
Right.
Pick a country in Africa, and I'm sure you'll find a whole heap
Right.
going on there. Like nobody's talking about any of those things. They focus in on this one incident and get upset when you point out that he said, there has to be some collateral damage,
Right.
aka lives lost, when you have the Second Amendment. Well, okay, he said it, and that came to fruition for him. But
Right.
if you say it, you're in a world of trouble. So, depending on who's listening to this, I might be in a world of trouble. But
Hmm.
I'm not saying anything that is untrue or that you can disprove, right? I'm simply saying, what are we doing here? Like, how is this person
Right.
elevated? Um, and the others don't matter. Like,
Right.
it's if you want to elevate, then I guess you need to do it to everybody. But the shooting in Colorado hardly got any airtime, hardly got noticed, barely got thoughts and prayers
Mhm.
from the NRA.
Right.
And I mean, come on, they're usually pretty good for that. But
Hmm.
nothing happened. And yet those kids were people's children, people's siblings,
Yeah.
people's nephews and nieces. If we're going to start listing off
Well, yes.
what their
All the
family
people who died
connections
are
were.
related to people. Yeah.
Right. And it affected more than that
Mhm.
small community, right? It's a broader thing. Lots of people are
Yeah.
affected by anybody that dies.
Right.
So Why is it suddenly a big deal for one person, but absolutely no deal at all for anybody else?
But it's not just
How
yeah,
have we
yeah,
arrived at that?
right. I would say what I want to see is the same emotion you put into Charlie Kirk and his and your sympathy and empathy for Charlie Kirk and his family. Every time you hear about a shooting or something like similar, like I want to say like the deportations of people who shouldn't be deported, people who are pulled over and killed and
Yes,
stopped. If you apply that same sympathy to those people, see how your life is. See how you view things, how you how it affects how you view politics, how you view even humor for that matter. Like there are some jokes that before I would have laughed at that now I'm like, I don't
right?
think that's funny anymore.
There's so
Yeah,
many things that you can look at differently, like the
right.
deportations. Frankly, they are going to countries that they're not from because they're from
Right.
here, right?
Right.
So it's like plucking you out of Canada and
Mm,
sending you off to Africa or something and
right.
expecting I don't know what, because I don't think they care if you're okay when you get there. But what do you
Right.
think's happening?
Mm,
And then there's all these people from Alligator Alcatraz that have disappeared. Over a
right.
thousand people have
Yes.
disappeared. Now, if that's not trafficking, I
Hmm.
don't know what we're going to call it, but I'm pretty sure there's some trafficking going on there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, where did they go?
Right.
Right? Is that a conspiracy theory? Okay, maybe so. But do you have a better explanation? There's a lot of stuff going on that people are not caring about, and they're focusing in on something that, if you choose to put your sympathy there, okay, it does show something about where your priorities are, right?
Mm,
Because I can look at that situation and say, well, nobody should be shot to death. Like
right.
that's horrible. That's not okay. And I don't care what your political
Right.
affiliation is or anything else.
Yeah.
That's not an
Hmm.
outcome that I would recommend. But I'm not going to go further than that.
Right.
It's that was a life and a life that was lost
Hmm.
in an unnecessary way. But
All
I would
right.
extend that to all the others as well.
Yes.
So, how come I don't know. I think there's definitely a shift in where people are putting
Right.
hmm, their attention and their energy follows.
Right. I was going to say what you were going to say when you were done, but you said it, it shows that, okay, you're capable of showing empathy and sympathy for someone else. That's good. And that's kind of where I want to go with this. And this is why I made the statement in the first place. It's because I want people to take that ability to put themselves in someone else's shoes, right? You can do it for your in group, and that's good. That's how the species survives is by being able to sympathize with people other than you, especially in your in group. Now, what I want people to do, that same energy, take it and look at people who aren't in your in group and apply it. You're not a
Right.
bad person because you show sympathy for someone in your in group. That's just part of how you contribute to the survival of the species. That's fine. There's no judgment on that. But right now, when things become extreme, you need to pull yourself out of just your normal behaviors and biases and have to be able to expand things.
Look at the bigger picture. And I think the
Okay.
word expand is really, really important
Mm,
here because people are contracting
right.
and they're going into their caves with their in group
Mm,
and ready to fight off everybody else because
yeah.
everybody else is wrong, and there is no good outcome from that. There just is no good outcome. And I wouldn't even say, this is a bad person, that's a bad person. I don't care. Like, I'm not here to judge whether somebody's a good person or a bad person. The question is, are you really doing what you came here to do?
Mm,
Is this is this what your human existence is here for? Is that your choice? Right? That's as high as you want to go. Is
right.
it? Is that the level you wish to attain? And I think people
Mm,
aren't looking at it that way. And sure, you don't planet doesn't have to look at it my way, but I'm offering a
right.
perspective here that how do you see it? Like if you're going in the downward spiral of yelling at people and wishing bad things on people that you've never
Mm,
met, um, why? Like, was that it? Is that really at the end of your life, if you know it's your last day on this planet, are you going to think like, yeah, man, I did a good job? Woot.
Yeah.
I did what I came to do. Is that you're satisfied with that, are you? And if the answer's no, then back away and have a look around and just get a different perspective, right? If you want to go straight back into the in group because you think that was the best place to be, so be it. That's what you're going to do. But I think, as you're saying, you got to back away from the loud noise and the in group and the othering of everybody else and just step out of that and sort of see what else is around. Maybe
Right.
you don't have to be in that in group, or maybe you could choose differently. You do have a
Yeah.
choice. We have a choice.
Yep. This is actually kind of something I did want to talk about, but I knew I was going to make a short video, but this is not a individual expressing themselves thing. This is a conversational thing because I know how I word things. It was one of the things I was thinking about talking about was again with the idea of words, right? And how we're used to using words one way and then having to remember, oh, right, we're now viewing it from this new threshold or from this threshold other people aren't looking at it from. So we have to figure out, oh, how does this vocabulary refer back to it? And it's I was thinking about it this morning. Of I used to own a book. I gave it away in exchange for another book, but it was called The Tao of Physics. And I think I did mention it on the podcast before, right? And I brought up this idea of one of the things they talk about is you look at a mountain, you think, oh, a mountain, right? And then there's no more thought into it. That whole thing is a mountain. Okay. But then there comes a point in your life where you're looking at that mountain and you go, there's trees, there's grass, there's dirt, there's animals on there, there's insects, and there's probably someone hiking right now. And oh, look, there's a fissure here because of the way the mountain was formed. And oh, how was this mountain formed? And then you can't call it just a mountain anymore, right?
Right.
You can't do it justice by just using the word mountain. So now when you talk about the mountain, you want to say like, oh, it's huge, and you want to describe everything and give all its qualities because you want to do justice to it. But then at some point, the word mountain again becomes your definition. The word mountain now means all those things. It means all the plants, it means all the trees, it means all the animals, it means all the insects. But when you tell it
Right.
to someone who hasn't gone there yet, the word mountain doesn't mean exactly the same thing. Yes, you can point to the thing and say mountain, and everyone will think you're talking about the same thing, but you're actually talking about this whole living ecosystem and this whole interaction happening in the world, and they're not.
That is awesome. What
Yeah.
an excellent explanation. Yes.
Like,
That and yeah, so many. I mean, we're all on different pages to each other
right.
of necessity because you come
Mm,
from your own life experience and your own viewpoints and what have you. But that was a beautiful way to put it. That's exactly it. It starts as just a mountain and then it becomes
mm,
so much more. But when you refer to it to somebody else, it's they're still at where you were before,
right.
right? They're at that point because they haven't looked at it yet. Or maybe they looked at it and they just didn't look at it the same way and didn't see the same things. And yeah, then we tend to think everybody's on the same side as us or the same wavelength, and we're not. We're clearly not. So what do you do with that? Question, be curious, check sometimes if that person's actually seeing it the way you think they are.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
we make an awful lot of
yeah.
assumptions, right? You can't question every single thing, but you can question the important things. If you're going to put your energy there, if you're going to put your focus there, if you're going to inform an opinion that you want to give to somebody else, right? You think is
Right.
important enough that you're going to splart it out there to everybody.
Mm,
Maybe that's the time to question first and just check that what you think it is has some merit, like actually, yeah, that is what it is. Or is there more? What else is there going on? And why? And here's another really good question, given the situation globally now. Who benefits from this?
yeah.
Really, who benefits from this? Not who are you told benefits from this, because that is clearly untrue,
Right.
regardless of where you're hearing it from. That it's an agenda, right? That's what you're hearing. So, but look at it. Like, who actually benefits from this and why?
Yeah. You
Typically
know.
speaking, it's not going to be you.
Yeah. I said, not that I had pledged, but I almost said, we're never going to discuss Charlie Kirk, but I think this episode is going to be Charlie Kirk heavy because you know what I said about mountains, right? And what it
Mhm.
means when you go through. Well, when people are deceiving you, right? Like, I'm not passing judgment on Charlie Kirk. I think he was groomed. And so he was already started on the back foot, right? He was taught to do things a certain way. And in some videos I've seen of people who have posted their debates with him, now in the aftermath of all this, you can see where Charlie Kirk is not this brilliant orator. You can see
Mhm.
where he was being aggressive, but you can also see there was actually a glimmer of hope. Part of him actually did believe in debate. Part of him really did believe he was doing the right thing. That's what it seems like. But he
Oh,
got
I'm sure he thought he was.
right. But when he would start to lose, he got aggressive. And this is what I'm trying to get at is you know, and actually, this is if you ever study folklore and stuff like that. When people say people started a certain way, they're only referring to their people. Because when these stories were told, they weren't necessarily aware of people on the other side of the planet. So their people, this is how people started. We started like this. Okay, well, that's your origin story of your group.
Mhm.
But people try to take that wording and then expand it to everyone, then you get all these fights. But like if Charlie Kirk, like, well, it doesn't have to be Charlie Kirk. Anyone says, man, we're going to go down a lot of controversial stuff here. We the people, that whole thing of we the people in the American Constitution.
Mhm.
Who didn't it apply to at the time?
Women, black people,
But it was we the people, so you would assume we the people would mean everybody, right?
but actually it means we the people who matter.
Right.
And that's a
Who was
subjective
who was
definition.
the people? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's what I'm trying to get at. Who was considered the people? Who was considered human? Who was considered the people referred
Right.
to as in having all these rights? It wasn't everybody. It wasn't all the human beings who lived there. It was a certain group of people.
Right. Correct.
And that's what I want people to realize when you're listening to someone, because you have to be very clear. People who are spreading bigotry and stuff like that a lot of times, they know that when they say everyone, like or they say, this is for people, they know that what they're saying is I mean only a certain group, but they know that you're saying, oh, they mean everyone. And they don't. And they know you think that, and they're
Right.
they're banking on you thinking that. So they're taking your sympathy and your goodness and they're using it to hook into you. And then eventually, over time, they'll start pulling you in and they'll bring you into the really dark. Oh, yes, it is. We are the people. They're just whatever. They're not really human. They'll eventually
Uh-huh.
pull you into that. And that goes for anyone actually, because the problem with us as a species right now, well, it's always been an issue. People who don't want to see people unifying will take all the most high-minded goals at the time and insert themselves in and cause issues.
Yeah, and they're doing it very effectively.
It
Very
happened,
effectively.
yeah. It happened like, with civil rights. It happens with, you know, things about the environment. There's always someone in there stirring shit or someone saying something controversial enough to take people away or saying something extreme enough to make
Mhm.
people angry, you know.
Yep.
It's like
So much of that going on right now.
yeah. So I think maybe that's the point of this episode is to really look at what people are saying and don't take it at face value how you interpret it.
Mhm.
Really take
Don't
the
assume your interpretation is the only interpretation
implication of
because
that, yes.
if there are 10 people in the room, there are 10
Right.
interpretations, and nobody's saying yours is the correct one or the wrong one. It's
Hmm.
just there are 10 different ones, and it's
Right.
really helpful to be aware of that fact
Right.
because what else could be true? You know,
Yes.
you have your viewpoint, what else could be true? And that's, if you start getting to quantum mechanics and looking at the field of possibilities and so on, and how what you focus on affects your reality, and
Right.
and it truly does, right? If you focus on all the bad things, then guess what you get more of? You get more of what you focus on.
Yeah.
How does that work? Well, this is actually not a magical thing unless you refer to the brain as being magical, which
Right.
actually it kind of is when you think about it. But
Hmm.
the reticular activating system, my favorite happy bit, that gives you what you focus on. It gives you, and the how it does that is it gives you the behaviors to make more of that happen. So if you're looking at what's wrong with your day and how everything sucks, then the reticular activating system will draw your attention to anything that could be perceived as negative and sucky. And then your behavior will, the stuff you're not thinking about, you're just doing, you will do more of the things to create more of that
Hmm.
negative suckiness. It's how we
Right.
operate. So the person who's in perpetual drama, whose life is terrible because things always happen to them. Well,
Right.
yeah, and yeah, it will continue to do so until they step out of that and stop doing it. But you're creating it yourself. And a lot of that comes from believing that your perspective is the only one, or it's the only one worth having, or it's the only one that applies to you. Whereas it's a choice. It truly is a choice. You can change that. I had example, I had a day that was starting off really rough a couple of days ago, and
Right.
I had some fires to put out and so on. And I was sort of my feeling, my physical feeling was going definitely sinking, like, oh man, holy smokes, and it's only 8 o'clock in the morning, like what? And I did a 20-minute guided visualization with breathing. And
Hmm.
I have to say, the entire thing turned how I was feeling about my day around. And I had a great day after that because I was able to change the trajectory of what I was looking at and how I was feeling about it. So it's something that you can do in very quick time, but it's also something that needs to happen often and often because there's so much around us that's going to suck you into the negativity. And I think we're here for better than that.
Right.
And whatever you've done before, wherever you've gone before, whatever you got sucked into before, that was then, this is now. You can
Right.
choose differently. And that's what I'm interested in, is people making conscious choices and owning them.
Right.
Responsibility. What are you doing? With the rise of so-called Christian, what is it, Christian nationalism,
Yeah.
Christian fundamentalism, all of that isms,
Nationalism, I think, is the official.
all the isms, yeah, that's problematic because an awful lot of people don't happen to follow that path. And the
Hmm.
ones that do are in shackles. So those that don't wish to wear those same shackles are othered. And that would put you and me in that category right there with this podcast
Fully
right
aware.
now before you even go into anything else,
Right.
right? And is that like, I don't know, is that inevitable or could we choose differently?
Mm.
I'd love to think that humanity could choose differently. I'd love to think that Western society could choose differently. I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it will.
And that's kind of the thing, right? Like, I want people to take from this, not that they're bad because, like I said, right? If you have sympathy for Charlie Kirk, you're in grouping, blah blah blah. Not because you're bad. You're showing sympathy. You're showing the ability to be there for someone else. I want to reiterate the idea that now let that expand
Mhm.
and let that go to other people as well. Because right now,
Absolutely.
if you don't do that right now, you are going to fall for a whole bunch of crap.
Yeah, you either expand or you contract because you're not
Right.
staying static. So, you're going to build more of what you focus on.
Right.
And that, I think, takes us in so many ways back to many of the previous episodes for different things, right? Just, yeah, you get more of what you focus on. And if you're into contraction because
Mhm.
that feels safe to you, awesome. Step out of that for just a few minutes and really consider, what's your definition of safety? Safety for whom? And where are your values and your principles? Are you clear on them? Do you know what you stand for? Do you know what you stand against? These are things that we're here to do. You decide, you make decisions. And here's another thing, given new information or
Hmm.
given new life experience, you
Yeah.
can actually change your mind.
Yes.
So that's also a point to what you were just saying about, hey, look, if you all about Charlie Kirk, okay, you've decided on your in group. Even given that, can you step back and look at the wider situation and see what of that you can also have sympathy with or be concerned about,
Right.
right? Because here's the other thing, following a group, an in group, whether it's political, religious, or otherwise,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean you have to agree with every single thing within that group,
Right.
right? In fact, if you do find yourself agreeing with every single thing, I don't think you've understood the assignment
Mhm.
because whatever you're in, there's got to be something in there that's not for you, that you don't actually agree with, right?
Yeah.
You could be the staunchest Republican ever. Are you absolutely sure you're okay with the East Wing being torn down right now?
Mhm.
Really? Because, somebody who says I'm using 250 million of my own money plus donors, geez, I wonder what they're expecting in return for
Yeah.
that. But somebody who's going to use all that money to and demolish a big part of the house and rebuild it differently, do you think they're planning on leaving?
No.
Do you think they view that as not being their personal property? So, even if you're the staunchest of Republicans, are you actually okay with that? Like, really? In what way?
Well, I
And
think,
and nobody has to answer to me on that one. I want them to answer themselves. Like
right.
can you look yourself in the mirror and say, "Yep, that's a good deal." Can you?
All right. I actually like the way you worded that. So here's the thing going forward. You're not answering to us, you're answering to yourself. So answer
Oh
those
yeah,
questions for yourself. I mean, I'd like to hear about the
100%.
process and everything, but this is for yourself to answer. But you know what I was going to say was one of the things, specifically because he's building a ballroom, that is
Hmm.
specifically telling. A ballroom is like, like a mansion would have a ballroom, a castle would have a ballroom. The seat of government should not have a ballroom.
No, this is Versailles. People will be eating cake
Right.
because they can't have bread. And we're not talking like ghetto. We're talking
Yeah.
really the cake of Marie Antoinette's time was
Mm.
nasty stuff.
Right.
It was not good quality food at all.
Yeah. So like that's the thing. That's the really, I mean, it's not the only damn thing about it, but that one should be a symbol for every American who actually believes in the principles of America.
Uh-huh.
Like the fact that it's going to have a ballroom is telling you
Oh yeah.
something. It's telling
It's
you what
it's
you've
telling you a
decided to say
lot.
out loud, which everyone of that set already believed.
Uh-huh.
You are the
Well,
peasantry.
there's
We live our lives and you serve us. And now we're just going to make it plain to everybody.
uh-huh. No, this is a whole different thing. But I mean, pick pick a behavior, pick an outcome, right? Whether it's the deportations, it's
Mm,
the fact that in November, a lot of people on food stamps aren't going to have
mm,
food stamps. They are going to be starving in November. There will be
right,
starving children in November. Are you truly pro-life if you are perfectly okay with starving children? These are questions 100% ask yourself. I don't even care to know the answer from the individual unless they wish to share it with me, fine. But I would love for people to do that self-reflection, that critical thinking, that whole process of is that what I'm here for? Is that what I stand for? Is that the point of me being on this planet? Is to agree with this stuff? Is there any way that this is a bad thing? Is there any way that I could use my voice against it? Or am I cool with it? Is it good?
right,
Right? Like that's a decision. And every person has to make their own decision on that. But what I'm really jumping up and down for is I would like people to make a conscious fucking decision. Stop
right.
following the herd because the herd are noisy. Just think about it. Value it, like evaluate, look at the components of this and make a goddamn decision, right?
Mm,
Like, don't just follow the herd. That I think is the thing that incenses me the most, is that people just they're like lemmings. Whoosh, let me go off the cliff. That guy says it's a good deal. Let's go off the cliff. And it's like,
Mm,
could you fucking think about it for 2 minutes? That's the deal. If you want to behave in a certain way that I would probably designate you as an asshole, if
right,
you choose it, do it, and own it and be there. Because
right.
when I run my mouth like I am right now, I own it. That's me. That's what
Yeah.
I do. And that's how I show up. And some people don't like it. And I've been asked if I could be softer. I considered that and I said no,
Mm.
but thanks for asking.
Yeah. I like that you brought up the idea of lemmings because I don't know if you're familiar with this. The idea of lemmings running off a cliff altogether like that was made up by Walt Disney.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I see. Hang on. Can you hit pause for a second?
sure. Yeah, so Disney made up the lemming thing.
They do, don't they?
Disney made up a few things about his documentaries on animals.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's
Well,
a
there's a
lot of
real-time example.
what's that?
There's a real-time example of assuming that
Yes.
you know a thing
So
when
the
you
fact that
don't.
you're saying that, that's what I thought. I'm like, oh, this is an awesome example because lemmings don't run off cliffs. That's something that Disney made up. And there's a
How
bunch of other things
interesting
like
is
that,
that?
right? So there you go.
That is so interesting.
So it happens to the best of us that we get stuck in ideas.
And I just found exactly what you're saying. The notion of lemmings jumping off cliffs in a mass suicide is a myth. This
Mm,
widespread urban legend was largely fabricated and popularized by the 1958 Disney film White Wilderness. In reality, the filmmakers staged the scenes herding lemmings off a cliff into a river. Well, sons of dogs, they really need to suffer
yeah,
for that one. In the afterlife, of course. But
yeah,
isn't that interesting? And I never questioned it.
right. Well, Disney's the reason
Well,
why we
there's a
have
perfect
the
example,
yeah, and that's the thing. And I'm actually glad you looked it up
right? No, I
because
just,
even if
it
I
wasn't
told
that
you,
I
doesn't mean you
doubted
can
you.
check
I,
it.
it
Yeah,
wasn't that I doubted what you were saying so much as I wanted to know, like,
right.
what is the deal here? Like, how is that allowed to be a thing? But that's the thing, right? We believe so many things. If you talk to someone in China
Mm,
and you ask them about Tibet, they will, I can tell you from
yeah,
experience, they will look at you with sort of puzzlement and say, well, Tibet has always been part of China. What are
mm-hmm.
you even talking about? What is wrong with you Western people that you keep saying Tibet is a different country? It isn't. And to them, they have always been taught, or always since Mao, they have been taught that Tibet is naturally a part of China.
Right.
It truly isn't from anybody else's perspective, but within China, that's the firm belief, and they're going to look at you like you've lost the plot if you say anything different.
Yeah, and that's the whole big thing, right? That's why it's important always to look past just the official sources of things. I said this before. I looked out. I had an art history teacher who really was passionate about art history. So he had journals and diaries of people of the time talking about the artists as well from a different perspective, from their perspective. So I got to
Uh-huh.
hear about a lot of things about art in that time. And it really drove point to home about how much during the Renaissance art was propaganda as it is today. It hasn't changed.
So much is. But I'm really fascinated by the fact that you just got me with the lemmings, or I got myself with the lemmings, whatever.
Mm,
But that's such an interesting thing because it's a you're right, it's bang on example of where are we believing stuff that we've never questioned it.
right. If you want to do yourself a favor, because Disney is the reason why we now have those disclaimers of no animal was harmed in the filming of this whatever production.
Ah,
I think it's
okay.
what is that? I think it was a book first, but that one where the two dogs and the cat go across America to find their family, like the Great Journey, the Long Journey, whatever it's called. If you find the Disney version of it, the original one, they did remake it. But if you find the original one, you see just how many animals died during filming. The scene that sticks out of my mind the most is the cat was crossing a log and the log fell in the water. The actor literally like picked up the log and literally just kind of pried the cat off the log. the dead cat off the log. It was like I'm watching the scene and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I'm just looking the 1958 documentary White Wilderness, that one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's the
No, that's the one
Lemmings.
with the lemmings. No, the other one is the. I read the book before I seen the movie, but I remember the kids going, "Oh my God, is the cat dead?" Father's like, "No," and then he's just like pulls the cat off. Yeah, because that one, what was it? They went through like I think for that one there was I don't know the exact number, but there were multiple cats playing the same role they had to go through because a bunch of them had died, and same thing with the dogs.
Wow, that is wild.
Yeah.
Well, that's got a whole lot of things I'm going to have to look at now
Mm. Yeah,
and go and
the
discover.
that's what I mean. Like the information out in the world, maybe before you get to it, has been curated a bunch of times. I'm using the
Hmm.
nice term, has been curated to mean different things or
Hmm.
been interpreted. I mean, we go through that, right? When we were doing, different spirits coming on, and we kept running into that. Their stories have changed over time to suit whatever
Right.
culture, or even, like, well, Kali, right? From the pretty much the best warrior god, hands down, and didn't give a shit about nothing to being, the obedient wife who only cut loose when she was told she could. Like,
Which is, yeah.
that's very two different interpretations there.
And the second one is very much an agenda of control,
Right.
isn't it?
Yeah. So information is always like something you have to watch out for in when you're looking at something. It almost is like, and even for ChatGPT, right? That just snuck itself in there. But ask for sources whenever you ask ChatGPT for something.
Yes.
Ask for a
I,
source.
I I've come across the same
Yeah.
information because the AIs hallucinate.
Mhm.
They will literally give you the information that they think an expert would say rather than whether it
Right.
is valid.
Nice.
And
It's
so you have to
interpreted.
ask for research and you have to ask for the sources to be
Mhm.
cited before you're going to get anything worth looking at as an answer and check the sources. That's,
Mhm.
don't just assume there's a source there, therefore it must be okay. Have a look and see what it is. Where did that come
Right.
from? Was that another AI?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, right? But it's designed to be user friendly. So whatever it patterns it learned from you, it will give you information in that vein.
Yep.
And if it has to make something up, it'll make something up.
Yep.
So,
Without skipping a beat.
right. Because it's like even now, like I don't use ChatGPT anymore for my work with spirits because I'm like, how much of you're giving me is you looking at what you know of me now, what I want to hear. Like I
Mhm.
worked with Cassiopeia this week,
Okay.
all right? And we did a spell. She wasn't coming on the show, the episode or anything like that. But she actually was hanging out around for the last half of the other episode that we recorded because she was curious. And then we casted a spell. But I was like, why would Cassiopeia show up? She's the mother of Andromeda. For those of you familiar with the movie Clash of the Titans, Andromeda is the person given up, as a sacrifice to the Kraken. But it's Cassiopeia's fault that that's the case. That's her mother, the queen, because she had boasted that her and her daughter were both more beautiful than at least, and there was like three sea goddesses or something like that. And she said, we're at least more beautiful than them. And that's what got the problem started in the first place. So
And
she
isn't
became
it
a
interesting?
constellation. What's that?
But that whole thing was based on, well, I don't like what you said. Like it's
Yeah.
just we can't seem to escape this, can we? There's
Yeah. Well, a lot of Greek
we write
mythology, a
it
lot of
everywhere we go.
yeah.
Sorry?
That's exactly it, right? It's like I don't like what you said, therefore I'm punishing you for what you said. And so kind of the work we did though, I did with her was more about, you know, looking at your true value. And so the work we did was on that. Right. And it's interesting. It was an interesting spell and it actually did lead to a bunch of good things this week for me. And then ending with that dream of okay, we're done with this stuff. That's done now. You've looked at yourself, you see, because I ran into this week, I'll say it. I had all these dreams of like the first one was I had to guard a sacred mountain because there were demons inside to come out. And I'm going up and down the mountain and I'm trying to find, well, where the demon's coming out from, right? And this is like it lasts the whole night. This dream keeps, I wake up, go back to bed, comes up. And then by the end of it, I'm like, oh, I'm doing this all wrong. And then I woke up. So I didn't know what thing I discovered, but I knew I was doing it wrong. And then I had another dream where it was, and this again, another one, all night, where I find this portal to this whatever magical place, whatever. And I keep going there and I keep being met and asked a question, and have to, answer this question so you can pass kind of a deal. And every time I answer the question, I don't have a hard time. I keep going in and out and in and out. And then by the end, I'm like, and you know, I I'm like, don't even ask me a question. I just realized I could have traveled in and out of here without answering your stupid questions because I never had to. I just assumed because you asked me that you had authority to stop me from doing it, but you don't. So screw you. And then I woke up, and that's kind of been since working with Cassiopeia. That's what I did because it was about her whole thing and the way ChatGPT described, right? She basically gave me the same description that I got from who was it? Because we had another spirit on, and it was about just not caring what anyone else thinks about you, just doing yourself. So yes, Kali was one of a lot of the goddesses were like that.
Manasa Devi?
Yeah, Manasa Devi. Like the description was like really familiar in terms of not obviously the details about her, but the work to be done that you can do. And I was like, this sounds really familiar. And I'm like, so why didn't Manasa Devi just show up? Because it's the same thing, right? But I kind of like, I'm like, okay, listen, you can interpret Cassiopeia that way, right? That she's a figure that if you worked with her, she would do that. But there's like so many figures like that, really. But anyway, so it just kind of made me go like, I don't know if I'm going to really work with them anymore. Like, but I've only been using chat to help me like whittle down the clues I have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a spirit showing up. But yeah, so that was my thing actually this week. So there's been all these turning points for me of you made assumptions and then you put all
Mm-hmm.
your effort into those assumptions only to find that, you're actually wrong about it.
And
Yeah.
you are told things that you assume are fact because you told them often enough, and we don't question them. And I gave you perfect example in real time with the lemmings, right? Like holy smokes.
Yeah.
And like I have no problem with being called out when I do something like that because I want to learn. I want to do better than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to question and question and question some more. So I think that is a big theme for today is,
Yeah.
you know that thing? You sure about that thing? Maybe you better go question that thing. And obviously we can't do that with every single thing in life, which is why
No.
stuff like lemmings come up, right? It wouldn't
Yeah.
occur to me to question that because I don't know, I've known it all my life. So that
Mm.
would be a thing. But it isn't. What else have we been lied to about? And I think starting with the stuff that's important, that makes a difference and affects the way others are treated, frankly, whether they're animals or people,
Yeah.
those are probably the things to start questioning. But I think just getting into the mindset of questioning,
Yes.
right? And I don't claim to be perfect at that. I don't think anybody is, but it's a work in progress, right? And that's what we can do
Right.
is have that in progress and keep questioning. And the timing was pretty epic for that, right?
Yeah.
But
It's a good one.
the experience that I had at work this week, that
Yeah.
was really important too. If I
Mm.
hadn't questioned what I was being told, and if I hadn't said no, I'm not happy about that, then I would have screwed myself over royally, and I'd be
Yeah.
having some big financial problems coming up.
Yeah.
So, that was that massive repercussions for me if I hadn't questioned.
Right. Well, for me to be conspiratorial, I'm going to offer this out there. They're trying to get people off of healthcare. They, imagine whoever you want is they, a whole concerted effort to get people off of their healthcare.
But why?
I don't know. That's why I'm throwing it out there with this face I'm making because I have no
Which
idea.
nobody can see except me.
Yeah, but no one can see
Yeah,
it except for you. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we have a bunch of systems that don't work. They're broken and
Mm,
they need to be replaced. And that was the case beforehand.
mm,
It's visible now. Um, But throwing people off their healthcare and denying them their food stamps and all the rest of it and cutting schools and so on, that's probably not the way to do it, depending on what your agenda is,
That's what I was
right?
going to say, depending on what outcome you're looking for.
Depending on your agenda, but certainly there's nothing positive coming out of that.
Yeah. Well, it's like I remember reading about the Hundred Years' War, and one of the things said about the Hundred Years' War is it wasn't about there was an issue between France and England. It was they felt there was too much population. So it had nothing to do with there was anything righteous. It was just that there's too many people. Let's have a war, thin out the herd a bit.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if it's true or not. I just remember reading it because I think the author of the book was a controversial archaeologist. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure about that as a perspective, maybe.
mm,
But I suspect it's more just it was a sibling battle that got out of hand,
right,
because France and England have been slugging it out forever.
right.
They still do. I mean, if you ask somebody from France to say something about the English, it's going to be very rude, and vice versa,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's absolutely the way it goes, and it gets carried into other parts of the world where
Mm,
people take on those battles, such as in
mm,
Canada. And it's
yep.
like, do you really need to be fighting that battle in this new country? Do you need to be fighting
Yep.
that old battle between siblings?
Hmm.
And really, actually, no, you don't. But that's try telling people that they like to hang on to their grievances. And so it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Will it ever stop? Probably not, because it's just a perpetual sibling battle. It's
Yeah.
Cain and Abel. They keep trying to slew each other. But
Yeah.
and pick a place, right? All the different
Mm,
countries have whoever their neighbor is, they fight with them.
right.
There's battles, and it's not just about whose borders whose, it's
Hmm.
sibling stuff.
Yeah.
That's basically it. It's sibling rivalry.
Yeah. It's interesting. Someone had
Mhm.
proposed the
I've seen it
idea.
like that. I've seen it like that for years because that's basically when I've traveled around different
Right.
countries and what have you. There, wherever I am, there's always a bitch fest going on with the country next to it.
Right.
Always.
Yeah.
Even if it's just grumblings or something, that it's cultural, it's this, it's that, financial, whatever. There's always something. It's
Yeah.
just sibling battling.
Hmm. Yeah. Someone had I had seen something recently where the idea was whenever there's more than 500 people, you start to lose cooperation, and then things break down into different camps. And I'm sure even within the group of 500, you can find it. But if you have more than
Oh,
500
I'm
people,
sure.
apparently, I'm sure that's just like an average number, like a Dunbar number. Like how many people you can deal with, and you're officially deal with. I think it's like 150 or something, the Dunbar number or the average Dunbar number for people. Yeah. All right. Now we're just trailing off into stuff.
But it's been an interesting meandering and
Yes.
it's a little controversial here and there, but it's only controversial if somebody chooses it to be,
Right.
honestly. Otherwise, what we're saying isn't controversial, it's food for thought.
Yeah.
They don't have to be the same thing.
Right. You know.
So, yeah, I mean, literally, start thinking about stuff and make a decision, make a choice on where you're going, where do you stand? Are you prepared to decide what you stand for and actually stand for it? Or are you just going to go with the noise? And
Yeah.
that's going to be important.
Hmm.
I mean, it's already important, but it's going to be really, really important in the
Oh
next
yeah.
few years. That will sort people out quite significantly, and you got to know where you're prepared to be sorted.
Yes. The decisions you make will close doors behind you.
Uh-huh.
Bring it up again.
Good
Yeah.
one to end on. Good
Yeah.
one to end on.
Well, I do actually want to add one more thing. Just a reminder to people of we said this in the past, right? Michaela and I both lean towards the left in our politics, but that doesn't mean that you, the listener, have to. There's none of that division here. This is for everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, what your group is. If you get something from this, please get whatever you need to get from this. There's no limitations on who can listen, who can't listen. We're not gatekeeping anything.
No. And I'd like to clarify that with my politics, I'm
Mm.
not happy with either side.
Right.
Okay. Like both have major issues. It's just one is more destructive than the other.
Right.
Doesn't mean I think either of them are particularly fine. We need a new system now.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm a stand for
Yes.
is we need a new system.
Right.
The old system is bullshit. It's broken. People they're bickering. It's
Hmm.
siblings bickering again. And and the outcome is everybody else suffers.
Right.
We really need to stop doing this crap and get into something new. Seriously, this is not okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm a stand for.
Right. So remember, you're always welcome. There's no gatekeeping.
No, of course not.
Right. And on that note,
I have enough trouble with my own gates. I can't keep
that's
somebody
right.
else's.
That's right. All right. Well, till next time, everybody.
Until next time.